Hi everyone, this is Xylo Aria here. So I've got the Launchkey Mini MK3 here and just wanted to go through some of the basic functions and what it has to offer. It's pretty light and I think fairly easy to use. So like any MIDI controller, obviously it's not going to make sound on its own. You do need to pair that up with a software of some sort. So I'm using Ableton Live and it works really well with that because I think it's been built for that in a way and integrates really well. So it's got the 2 octaves of keys, and you've got your 16 pads here as well and your 8 pots that you can use. And then we've got the pitch and the modulation strips here, and then here you can change the octaves and the transposition here, and you've got your shift, which gives you all the pad functions and the pot functions there. And then you've got the new settings that they've added, which is the Arpeggiator and the Fixed Chord. So we'll just quickly run through what they do. So as I mentioned, if you press the shift menu, a few things come up here. So you've got 3 orange pads and you've got 5 green pads. So at any one time you can choose one of the orange pads and one of the green pads. So the orange pads control what your pads do, and then the green pads control what your pots do. So let's just go through them really quickly. So the first one is session. So if we choose session, then our pads become our controllers for our session view in Ableton. So if you can see, the ones that are lit up are the same as what's showing on my session view. So in the first track, it's a group track, so we've got something there, and then in our first scene we've got a clip in the 3rd and the 5th track, and in our second scene we've got something in the 2nd, 3rd and 5th track. So that's a representation of our session view, and we can launch the whole scene using this, and then we can move down by pressing shift and moving down, and that moves down a scene. So if we go back here, if we go into session view, the normal mode shows you the 2 scenes, but then this button here offers different functions as well. So if we are playing, let's say, the 2nd scene, if we go into stop mode, you'll see now I've stopped tracks 2, 3 and 5. And if we start that again, and then we go into solo mode, now I'm soloing all the different tracks from 1 to 8. And if you want to solo a few at once, you can do that too. So I'll turn that off. And then if we go into mute mode, then we can mute the different tracks as we go along as well. So that's what mute mode does. So that's pretty much everything that session mode offers. And then if we go into the drum mode, then our pads work pretty much like any other drum pad. So if we open up a drum track, then you can just play drums using that, and they're quite sensitive, which I quite like, and they're velocity sensitive as well. So the harder you press them, it's going to be louder. So then if we go into custom mode, then we can change what the pads do according to our MIDI mapping, but the norm is that it's just keys. So if we go into something, and the thing is, it gives you extra 2 octaves pretty much. So you've got your C, so you can use that as 4 octaves if you want to. And then if we go into our pot modes, if we go into device, then our pots then control our device. So if we go into this track, for example, we have an auto filter there. So our pots here, so the first one changes the frequency, second one changes the resonance, third one changes the filter type, etc. So that is our device mode. Then if we go into volume, then if we go back to arrangement, then you can see it a bit better. So our pots then change the volume of the 8 tracks that it's controlling. So that's what that does. And then if we go into pan, then it changes the pan of each of the 8 tracks that we're controlling. And then if we go into send, so when I press send, you'll see that there are 2 blue pads that light up. So I've got 2 different sends in my session. So I've got A and B. So if we have the first blue one selected, then our pots will change how much I'm sending to each of the 8 tracks. So right now it's send A because that's what we selected. If I press shift and then go to the next one, it's send B to the different 8 tracks. And then if we go into custom, then we can change what our pots do pretty much. So that is our shift menu. So there's a few things we can do there. If we go into up, so if we press up, then kind of like our shift button, the arpeggiator opens its own menu. So if you see up here, might be hard to see on there, but there's a few things that we can select. So here is the arpeggiator mode, then here's the rate of the arpeggiator, the octave, and the rhythm. So we need to choose one of all those things to set up our arpeggiator. So let's say we just want it to go up. We want it to be every 8th note, and we just want 1 octave, and we want a simple rhythm. Then we can do that, and then if we go to back to our session mode, and then go to something, then if we press, you can see that the arpeggiator has started. So if we press up and then we press latch, then we don't have to keep holding down, and the arpeggiator will keep playing until we press up again, and that's when it stops. So let's just have that on and see. And now if we change some settings, we go to 16th, and then we go up and down, and then 2 octaves, change the rhythm. So there's a few things that we can do to play around with that. So that's the basic function of the arpeggiator. If we go to fixed chord, then what we need to do is, while pressing that down, you can press like, I don't know, C, E and G, for example. And now any key that we play will have, will play the chord with those intervals. So that's how our fixed chord works. And then we've got our play and record buttons here. So that's kind of the main functions that the Mini Mark III has to offer. And yeah, I think it's fairly easy to use and works really well, especially with Ableton. So let me know what you think. And if you have any other questions, let me know in the comments. And thanks for watching.